Hello and welcome to the July 2026 edition of Virginia Wine and Song, the Virginia Wine Notebook YouTube channel where we talk about Virginia wine and we pair it with underrated music from the classic era, which I consider to be between 1964 and 1999. And today is July 3rd, 2026. It is July 4th, the weekend of July 4th, 2026, which is, of course, the 250th anniversary of the country, the United States of America. So I'm shooting this video, and I want to talk about Virginia wine, and then I'm going to go right into music, and I'm going to talk about two albums, actually two bands, I should say, that really define America in very different ways, and I'll explain what I mean in a minute. But first I'm going to talk about the wine. And the wine, of course, is from Virginia, and this is a winery that is outside of Roanoke. It's actually about a half an hour northwest of Roanoke, not very far from Virginia Tech and Radford University. And the winery is called Virginia Mountain Vineyards. I went to this winery in 2005 or so, and they were one of the original wineries in the state. When I went there in 2005, it was just basically, it was a beautiful location for sure, and the tastings were done in their home. I haven't been back there since, but I went to their website and looked at their website, and it looks like the property is pretty much the same as I remembered it. But the winery looks like they have expanded it, which is great. I love to see a winery expanding to the point where they're an event center. They can have weddings there, and the website has a lot of pictures of younger people doing tastings at the counter, which is great to see it. They're still doing tastings at the counter, and there are probably younger people there because of the colleges and universities that are nearby. You know, like I said, Virginia Tech, Radford. You have Roanoke College and Hollis University, and they're probably students. You know, if they're drinking age, they probably want something to do on the weekend there, and they go to a vineyard. And this is a great vineyard to go to because it's beautiful. It's got, you know, the Blue Ridge Mountains on one side of the valley, and you got the Allegheny Mountains on the other. They're kind of, as I remember, they're kind of in a grove area. They have a big farm. The vineyards are right there, close proximity to the tasting area. And it's amazing that I remember so much of this, even though I was there 11 years ago. And the wine, I picked this bottle up at a wine shop in Harrisonburg, and I remember liking this wine, so I decided I want to get a bottle of it. I haven't opened it yet. I'm sure it's good. It's called Dominion Gold, which is a white blend. It's described as having notes of apple, lemon, and pineapple with a rich vanilla finish. When you hear vanilla, I usually think about Chardonnay, but this is not a Chardonnay. Maybe it's got a little bit of Chardonnay grape in it, but it's considered to be a blend. It says white table wine on it, which is usually, you know, it means a blend. So you can chill this on a hot day. It's supposed to be 100 degrees by 5 o'clock today. By 5 o'clock, okay, it's going to be 100 degrees. So there we go. So this will be good to have chilled. I'll probably have to put it in the freezer to really cool it down. They have a lot of other wines here. They have a dry rosé. The price points are really good. Most of their wines are under, well, their whites, I should say, are under $30. Dry rosé, can't go wrong with that. They have one called Holiday Spice, which is a semi-sweet red wine that they recommend mulling that. Probably not a good time of the year to have mulled wine, but keep that in mind for the fall or the winter. For their whites, they have Chardonnay. They have a Chardonnay Reserve. They have a Traminette. Traminette's a great wine to have if you have it chilled. It's got a little bit of a gingery, you know, bite to it, or a Swedish off-sweet bite to it. Great thing to have with spicy dishes like Thai food or Indian food. And for the reds, they've got a Cab Franc, a Merlot, Petit Verdot. And again, I love to point out the fact that most of their wines are under, well, their whites are under $30, and their reds are, you know, between 30 and 40. I think their most expensive wine on here that I can tell is a Reserve Petit Verdot for 2023, which is $48. So that's probably a library wine they have, and that was a 2023. I think that was a pretty good year for growing. So that was a pretty dry year, as I recall. So it's probably, even though it's $48, you really could age that for a long time. Petit Verdot is by nature, you can age for a long time. So definitely worth checking out. You probably cannot drive there in one day from Northern Virginia. I would recommend getting an Airbnb or a B&B, or you can stay in Roanoke. Like I said, a half an hour from Roanoke. They're far enough away from Route 81. You won't hear a lot of the noise from Route 81. They're in Fincastle, which is it's like a village. There used to be another winery down the road called Fincastle Winery. That closed about 10 years ago, unfortunately, and that was a nice place to go to as well, but they're gone. But Virginia Mountain Vineyards is still there, so worth checking out. Please check them out. I try to support these wines that that are a little lesser known. The fact that they are in a wine shop is a good thing. That means they're getting some exposure. So I'll be very happy to chill this later and have this inside, probably not outside with 100 degrees at 5 o'clock. So now we're going to go on to the music. And like I said, I picked two bands. One band I'm going to talk about two albums from because it's kind of a special band. And I want to concentrate on bands again from the United States, from the U.S. This first band is from. I'm not going to go cross country. Last year I took a cross country trip, as you may remember. If you're one of the three people that watch this channel, you may remember that. But anyway, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go right into the state. This first band is from Iowa, and you don't really hear about a lot of bands from Iowa. You got Slipknot. Slipknot is not, that's not my style of music. I appreciate them for what they're trying to do, but they're not really for me. I prefer this band. This band is named Hawks. And like the Eagles are just known as Eagles, not the Eagles. They're known as Hawks, not the Hawks. The reason being, Hawks is actually an acronym for the last name of the band members. So the band is no longer around. They called it quits, I think, in 1984 or so. They put out two albums. And this is the first of two albums they put out. And they were on Columbia. And it's really quite amazing the fact that this band, this little regional band that had a big following in colleges and in high schools even, in Iowa at the time, got a deal with Columbia Records. The story is, and I only know this from talking to somebody who's originally from Iowa, and he told me this story, that one of the band members decided to, send a tape. I think they sent a tape of their rehearsal to Columbia, if I remember correctly. They have a Wikipedia page, and I'm a bad blog person or a bad podcaster. I didn't do my research, so I'm not Rick Beato, unfortunately. I should have read this Wikipedia page to give you a little more data on them. But I was so excited about this album because the first time I heard it, this is on vinyl. It came out in 1982. I didn't hear it when it came out. I heard it probably about 10 years ago for the first time. And I dropped the needle down, and it was so, I had to remember, 1982 was a very interesting year. It's when New Wave started kind of invading the airwaves in the United States, and MTV was all the rage. I don't know if they had videos on MTV. They were picked up by Columbia by kind of a fluke, from what I understand. The guy at Columbia flipped over the demo tape that he heard, and he basically brought them over to the studio to cut their album, and they did another album after this as well, both on Columbia. So when I first got this record, I put it on the turntable, and I dropped the needle, and I was kind of blown away by how many hooks these songs had. These songs all had melody. And you got to remember, in 1982, people still believed in melody. I mean, I hate to sound like a curmudgeon about new music, but this band I heard a lot of influences of the Beach Boys in this album. There were influences, of course, of the Beatles. There was influences in here of the Kinks, and also it had a little bit of a new wave thing to it. Some of the songs had a little Elvis Costello and Nick Lowe thing going on, even though they were from Iowa, they were not British. So anyway, this album, if you can stream it, it's just called Hawks. I think there is a song that is available for streaming. I think somebody just kind of like put it on their camera and let the hit play, because I don't think they did any music videos. I could be wrong about that, but the song that I think is on there that you can listen to is called "Let Me In." Let Me In. Beautiful little song, and I can see why the guy at Columbia. If I was working at Columbia Records as a young guy, and I was looking for the next Greg Kinn. Remember Greg Kinn? He was big in '82. Or the next Donnie Iris. He was also big in '82. Or even the next Huey Lewis, which was they were just getting really big in 1982. I would have been knocked out. I would have said, "Bring these guys over. We're going to record their album." And they did. They recorded this album in 1982 called Hawks, and then they had a follow-up called 30 Seconds Over Otho. This came out, oh, wait a minute, this is also 82. So these both come out in 82? Let's see. Okay, this came out in 81. So this is 81, and then the very next year, 82, they came out with 30 Seconds Over Otho. And Otho, I don't know, that must be somewhere in Iowa. There's a map on the back. So if you're from Iowa, please let me know if any of these towns sound familiar. I guess there is a town called Otho. This album is a little harder. It actually reminds me a little more of Cheap Trick, which is, big Midwestern band of that era. Cheap Trick, maybe a little bit of Head East, if you remember Head East. So a little harder. The first album is a little more pop oriented. This is a little harder. Please check them out. I'm running low in time here, so that's all I'm gonna say about Hawks. Iowa, July 4th. You can't go wrong with the Heartland in on July 4th. Okay, now we're gonna go over to California, and we're gonna talk about a band that's in the complete opposite of musical scale. Also, their sound, of course, is very different. Now, it's possible the Hawks, I slipped, I said the Hawks. It's possible Hawks like the Grateful Dead. I don't know. Hawks struck me more as a band that was more pop oriented with their approach to songwriting. Their songs were a little more tighter. They didn't do a lot of jamming. The Grateful Dead, of course, did a lot of jamming. This is In the Dark. And, I don't know why I picked this as an underrated album. I think it was really underrated. It wasn't underrated when it came out. They were on MTV. Their song Touch of Grey, which is on this album, was on MTV in 1987 when this album came out. And I remember watching that, and it was so cool. And at the time, I wasn't really into the Grateful Dead, but I liked that song. So this is the reason I'm bringing this up. If you're just trying to get into the Grateful Dead, even at this age, and all the members are pretty much gone except for Mickey Hart and Bill Kreutzmann, the two drummers. They're the only ones left from the band. Everybody else is gone. Phil Lesh and Bob Weir passed away. Both of them passed away recently. And of course, Jerry's been gone since 1995. But you can still discover their music. And this is a great album that kind of represents everything they did, but with an 80s gloss. So, of course, Touch of Grey is on here. And some of these songs are long. There's a song that goes on for over 7 minutes. There's another song that goes on for over 6 minutes. And you're going to hear all of them. You're going to hear, I think definitely you'll hear Bob Weir and you'll hear Jerry. I don't know if you're going to hear Phil Lesh. Phil Lesh didn't really sing on a lot of songs. But great entry point album. They're from entry point album for the Dead. And of course, you got, this being vinyl, what I've mentioned over and over again, what you don't have when you stream or even with CDs, you don't have this wonderful gatefold with all of the band members. And this is 1987. They were kind of like, I don't want to say they were making a comeback then because they never put out another album that was successful. They had other albums after this, of course, but they were more underground. This is when they really exploded. And I think it was because Touch of Grey was such a pop song. It's a great song to hear even now. Touch of Grey, I Will Survive, do. Great song also for July 4th, The Country Will Survive. And this is the label. This is customized label for In the Dark. And of course, they were on Arista. Very unusual label for them to be on because in 1987, Arista was known mainly for Whitney Houston and Jermaine Jackson. They were not really known for rock and roll as much as they were known for, for kind of like R&B stuff and really pop-oriented stuff. So it was a surprise to see them on Arista, but it's a great record. I'm going to fire it up later. I'm going to drink some of that Virginia Mountain wine. I'm going to have some friends over. We're going to listen to, I don't think we're going to see the fireworks, but we're probably going to listen to fireworks. We're going to, today is July 3rd, but it's not the big day. Tomorrow's the big day. People are going to be blowing fireworks off all weekend. Who's kidding? Who's kidding who? So anyway, enjoy the July 4th weekend of 2026, America's 250th birthday, and I will see you real soon.